The Board of Park Commissioners special meeting for Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. Abby, please call the roll.
Mr. Capper? Mr. Emmerich?
Here.
Mrs. Westphal?
Here.
All righty. I will take a motion to amend the March 1st Board of Park Commissioners agenda to add a review for the 2023 event list and temporary activation of the DORA non-ticketed use agreements for Treasure Island concerts on June 24th and August 5th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Do we need to call the roll on that, Abby?
Yep.
Well,
Mr. Emmerich?
yes?
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. And then looking at our previous board minutes, we have the February 7th Board of Park Commissioners meeting minutes. Is there any additions, subtractions, or deletions to those minutes? And then we also have the January 18th Joint Park and Rec and Park Board minutes. Any additions, deletions, or subtractions to those minutes?
No.
If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
And Abby, please call the roll.
You can second.
Oh, I'll second that, I'm sorry.
And Mr. Emmerich?
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All righty. We'll get into our reports. Mr. Drake, you're the first one up. Anything to add to your reports?
Just a couple things. One, obviously baseball and soccer just about in full swing. Saw Duke Park as well as North Market are being practiced on today for the first time with the nice weather, so things are really starting to ramp up for both of those. Also wanted to pass along a nice thank you letter that I received in an email from a resident near Trinity Park in regards to the new playground equipment that we put in out there. Just a really nice thank you, and they really are appreciative of that piece of equipment. So wanted to pass that along as well.
Excellent. Anything? Susan?
No.
Ken, next man up.
Not too much to add. I just want to mention that the arena this weekend will be hosting the Ohio High School District Wrestling Tournament, so that'll be taking place Friday and Saturday. And as you can see, we've got 63 tents reserved so far for Flip Troy, so those continue to go well for this upcoming summer.
Awesome. And you added a new concert to the list? Zach Williams was added?
Zach Williams has been on there for a couple months, yes.
Okay. Mr. Boer is not here, but did send in his report. I don't have anything to add to that. Do you at all, Susan?
No.
And then I wasn't handed a planning commissioner's report from Mr. Cappers. So if that is all, I'll take a motion to accept the submitted reports.
Motion to accept.
And Abby, or I'll second that. And Abby, please call the roll.
Yep. Mr. Emmerich?
Yep.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Awesome. And we'll get into our new business. So first item on the agenda is the recommendation to council to authorize the chairman of the Board of Park Commissioners to sign the consent to the field naming. Is there someone speaking regarding that?
There is. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We were approached by the school administration. They are, I think everybody's aware that they are doing a campaign to provide artificial turf at the stadium, among other things, as well as the soccer field. They have received a conditional grant donation from Premier, the condition being that they would like the field, the stadium field, named Premier Health Field at Troy Memorial Stadium. So way a little background, in 2009, prior to 2009, the stadium was owned by the city. There was a city-school committee that met to look at the condition of the stadium and just kind of go through any issues. We met, I don't know, a couple times a year. In 2009, we transferred ownership to the schools, and the deed included and includes a restriction that the Troy Memorial Stadium will never be renamed anything but that. will always be named that, and then any other naming other than some scoreboard signage that they've always had the ability to use would be available to the schools by mutual consent between the schools and the city, including the park board. So the park board president would sign off on the actual consent, a draft of which you have in your packet. Council would have to authorize the park board president to do that signing, but we need a recommendation from the board. Everybody is in agreement. I've discussed this with Mr. Cappers, and he helped craft the final language on the consent agreement. So I can confidently say he's in favor of moving forward.
So we'll make the recommendation to council, will then ultimately come back and have to have something signed by the president of the park.
So the council would pass the legislation authorizing it, and then we will bring the document to Al, and he can sign it probably at a planning commission meeting.
Okay.
So I just need to make a motion.
Please.
Okay, motion to recommend council to authorize the chairman of the board of park commissioners to sign the consent to field naming.
And I will second that.
And just so it's on the record, you should have of the actual field, and it's kind of small, which made it, I think, more agreeable, at least from this aerial shot.
Yeah.
So you'll see at the bottom right-hand and the top left-hand side of the field itself, that's the only acknowledgement and the only signage that will be there. So it'll be field level.
Will there be anything on the scoreboards?
Nothing else, no other recognition except for what you see on that picture.
Okay.
So, on the recommendation, the consent to field naming, that photo's copied in here, so that's encapsulated, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so that needs seconding.
I will second that.
Okay. Mr. Emmerich?
Yes?
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Awesome. And then moving on to the approval for the North Market Street Ball Fields renovation project. See that?
So this is a project, we've talked in the past about being able to provide sponsorship opportunities, recognition opportunities for not just North Market ball fields, but our other fields as we looked to upgrade, for example, some of our practice fields to smaller playing fields and the like. And we had intended on doing that, bringing a bigger project, and we're still looking into that, bringing that to you later in the year. In the meantime, though, we were approached by one of the high school varsity baseball coaches who happens to be in the boosters, and was approached or was able to procure a rather large sponsorship opportunity from one of our local businesses here, and timing-wise, and the reason it's coming to you right now is if we were to look at, is the opportunity to roll out a broader program using the Meet the Teams night on March 9th, which is when they wanted to announce this donation. Okay, so we worked with the 9th in mind and tried to work our way backwards to today. And we had a meeting of boosters, softball, as well as baseball, city staff, the mayor, Ken and Jeremy were there, as well as Chris Piper and Jeff Price from the school system, to just talk in bigger terms about, is North Market still the relevant site for the ball fields? These are our biggest ball fields. They're half the season used by the schools, the other half used by our rec programs. everybody around the table confirmed that, yeah, this is still the site that they want to be at. One of the reasons that we had this meeting, again, sooner than later, but we were going to have it anyway, is that the fields are old. Some of the infrastructure is very old, it's outdated, some of it is obsolete. For example, the concrete bleachers predate the ball fields and go back to the football field when it was there. That's how old those are, and they have not really been maintained very much. And they're all concrete. There are at least 9 sections, including a press box. To do even minimal renovations to a portion of those so that people can comfortably sit on them is probably $100,000 to $150,000. And that's just basic renovations. Another large expenditure that will be needed soon is the lighting at the softball field. That is so obsolete that they can't even be maintained. We do turn them on every once in a while, but simple functions like just changing light bulbs when we'd have to do it, we can't get a contractor to do it. They're so old. To replace that, pre-pandemic was about $150,000. It's probably in the $200,000+ range. There are other improvements that they'd like to make or they and us, and we would like to see out there related to potentially converting the grass infields to turf, repositioning the backstops and upgrading those backstops so that they're fully functioning with maybe some brick knee walls as well as better fencing and protection and netting for foul balls, which frequently go into the parking lot, if not North Market, and even on the softball side onto Staunton Road. Not insubstantial costs. So if you look at all of these wants and needs, you're well into 7 figures. Or well over 6 figures. I won't say it's like $7 million, but it's probably easily over $1 million plus. Mm-hmm. And so as we were talking about partnering, because not one entity really ought to take on the burden of doing these improvements, we've seen on our end from Jeremy several requests or multi-year requests for certain improvements. But we wanted to engage the other partners, including the schools and the boosters, to come up with a collaboration where everybody's involved, everybody's participating, and at the same time there might be some sponsorship opportunities and recognition opportunities from the private sector, be they individuals or corporate, and how might that look out at North Market, because there is some sensitivity with its location and the fact that it is so highly visible that we want to provide recognition in an aesthetic way, but in a fairly public way so that they get the acknowledgement for donating towards the project. And so what we are asking is for, we included in this report what I'll call a menu of potential suggested contributions, and they would coincide with the proposed improvements that would need to be done in case a business wanted to spend a certain amount of money and they wanted it to go to a specific improvement, and then we have some proposed recognition that would go along with that. We talked to Mr. Kerber. It does not run, pardon the expression, afoul of our facility naming policy. That is a council-directed policy, needs council approval. So it is something that the park board can do internally. You'll see in the menu or in the spreadsheet that it's kind of a disclaimer, the discussion in shaded underneath the dollar figures that the above chart is a suggested sponsorship menu, not mutually exclusive, so the park board could entertain unique asks. They also, you also would reserve the right to modify anything in the above menu. Mr. Cappers, in discussing, he was at this meeting as well. Maybe I neglected to list him, but he was at this particular meeting as well. He's reviewed this. He's on board with this. His caveat was really, his concerns are what led to this language in here, to give the park board the ability to dictate, the size of the signs, what the signs look like, so that they're not billboard size signs, but they're appropriately sized to whatever the improvement is or modification that's done, as well as having some control over who the sponsors might be, because there may be some perfectly legal, legitimate businesses, and maybe they're not the best sponsors to have their names on a youth facility, without naming any names in particular. And we would work with them on that. One thing we do not have that we would work on currently, and it would come back to the park board at a later date, is the schools to this point have not been able to participate financially in any of these, any upgrades or any kind of maintenance activities, because we do not have any kind of written agreement with them, so that they have some control, if you will, over the facility, that they are a legitimate tenant, if you will. Now, that can be a simple document laying out the conditions and who's responsible for what. Does not have to be and nor would I think we'd recommend that there be an ongoing lease other than maybe $1 a year, but in return, they would participate in the capital program similar to what the city would do, and then anything we could get from the boosters and the sponsorships. So we'll work on that so that they are agreeable to looking at language, and they like that idea of getting something written down. Particularly because one of and I will put this on the record, that one of their concerns is that if they're going to participate in the ball fields, they have an exclusive relationship with Premier, doing their athletic training, and I'm not sure how far in scope it goes, but it does have a limitation on any other medical or hospital systems participating. Mm-hmm. So we would have to walk that through with our other hospital, and there may be some other opportunities for them to engage on other properties other than North Market. But we'll work those kind of details out, but full disclosure, that is something that we've talked to the schools, and we'll continue to talk to them and bring something back to you. I think that's it. If you have any questions, we are asking for a positive recommendation from you, just one for us to be able to take, especially for the boosters, to put some marketing materials together. Sure. and start outreach.
Did you have a question?
I was just going to say, so you've got a specific donor now. Are they wanting to do a specific thing listed on here? Heath was going to contact them again to see what specifically they wanted, and apparently they are fairly flexible, and it may even be a first phase of a bigger donation, knock on wood, but they wanted to be able to announce that, just the donation on the 9th, which hopefully will open some eyes and maybe get some other parties interested. Okay. You'll see on the menu, we tried to, a lot of this is geared towards corporate giving. Yeah. I'd say.
You would think, but we did want to keep at least one idea open, that being some bricks in the backstop that could be engraved, mm-hmm. so that individuals could feel like they're part of this project.
So the menu was developed at like a joint selection meeting, right? So Mr. Cappers was there, were you part of that, Jeremy, at all, to evaluate?
I was part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need a motion to approve the North Market Street Ball Fields renovations project to the city council? Or
No, just a
Just to
motion.
get it going.
Recommending that we do
We
this
get going.
project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, I know the booster parents came last summer, and there's only so much we could do at the time, and, you know, I thought the presentation then was great, and so to kind of come back with a collaborative effort on this, I think it's a, you know, a step in the right direction, and I see there is some notation there regarding design and aesthetics, and I think as long as we're mindful of that, I have no issue, so.
No.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the North Market Street Ball Fields renovation project per the document presented today in the park board meeting.
And I'll second that.
We want to call the roll?
Yep, Mr. Emmer?
Yep.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Righty. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of listing 2023 events for Proudy Plaza at other areas of park. Is that you too, Mr. Tithington?
It was going to be Sue,
Yeah,
but
right?
it was
Yeah.
going to be Sue, but we added a couple of these things, so, and I want to explain the last part. But you have the proposed 2023 events list. This is an annual thing that we ask the park board to approve. Sue is here if you've got questions about any of the particular events, but we are asking for approval on that. I do want to, and I don't know, Sue, do you want to do two separate things, or does it matter? Okay.
So are we approving here the list of events, Sue, or are we approving just the normal 2023 events? kind of?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that one first,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about the June 24th and August 5th.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
So a motion to approve the 2023 listing of events for Proudy Plaza and the other park areas.
Yep, and I'll second that.
Mr. Emmer?
Yes?
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All righty. The next item on the agenda is the temporary activation of DORA for Treasure Island non-ticketed use agreements for the concerts on June 24th and August 5th.
Let me give you...
Yeah, a small version of it.
Yeah, and I had that from last.
No, I'll take it.
So you recall month, I briefed you on the DORA changes, which include the blue areas, which are potential activation areas. If they are to be activated, they would be activated on an event basis only for limited times, and they would be typically driven by whoever is sponsoring the particular events. Today at staff meeting, it was requested, I'll leave that individual anonymous for now, for us to consider for two of the three Treasure Island events that we've been having each summer. Two of the three being, the third one being July 4th, which we always consider a family event, and we've never sold alcohol on Treasure Island for that event. The other two events, every year, the arena staff has sold alcohol as a temporary venue, and we will, we being Jeremy, staff will fence off the area, and we will secure it so that people can get in and out, but
you have to stay within that corralled area. And it includes the stage area, and it's pretty much most, if not all, of Treasure Island. With the advent of the Dora, the question is, can we just use the Dora, expand the Dora for June 24th and August 5th only? The rec board the recreation director would apply for an F1, an F2, F1 temporary permit, just like they always would. It would, but that trailer would be its own temporary Dora facility, okay? And so on Treasure Island, if activated and you'll see the activation area that we're suggesting is the green area only. So it would not include the actual island on Treasure Island behind the restaurant. It would also not include the arena. It would not include the levee. It would not include Community Park. It would only include Treasure Island. But in addition to the arena staff being a Dora seller, establishment for that evening, if somebody went into the boathouse and ate and they wanted to take a Dora drink out, they could take one out and watch on Treasure Island, which they wouldn't have been able to do under the old rules last year, as well as anybody that buys at, I'll just pick, if they bought something at Moeller and walked down the sidewalk, or if they bought something at Dunaway's, which is probably the farthest west liquor establishment in the permanent area, which should be effective on March 9th as well. Then they would be able to walk, per this green, they would either be able to walk up Adams Street onto the rec trail and go to Treasure Island, or they could walk on Main Street, on the sidewalk of Main Street, and then up the right sidewalk, the east sidewalk of Elm Street, and probably go up the stairs in front of the boathouse off of Elm Street. That way we don't have to worry about blocking off the area, fencing it off with snow fencing, and it's a lot more casual. As I mentioned last month, that would require a positive recommendation from the park board for the council to consider that. This was a last-minute thing, and I did I texted Mr. Cappers, asked him if he had any comments on it. I'd be happy to read them into the record. I know it looks like he or somebody who had access to his phone read my text. I have not gotten anything back from him. But I did also reach out to the police chief, make sure that he was okay with it. He said he didn't see any problems with it at all, that he would simply be briefing the guys who, and I can say guys because our female officer is now a detective, who's on duty, that they understand what the boundaries are. We would also add...
This will be basically our first, run at activating a temporary door, right?
It would.
Okay,
yeah.
so we authorize it, it goes to city council, they're still going to have to approve it?
They still have to approve it. If it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. We don't do it
It
again.
still falls within all the door guidelines I see here listed in the state of Ohio requirements, correct?
Right, that's correct.
But
And
you
we would
cannot
have-
walk behind the hospital, though, on Water Street with
Right,
the drink?
no, that's
Okay.
right. And so we would add 10 signs at intersections, including on Water Street, as well as 10 trash cans. Everywhere we put a sign, we'll put a trash can, and we'll be the signs will be temporary signs, so they'll be on, maybe a piece of cardboard this size, and we'll be able to say, you can't go beyond this, you can't go here, you can only go there. So we can be fairly specific on those. And that is a requirement anytime an activation
happens, we add those.
Do we anticipate any substantial things needed from us outside the norm for doing this, or, I mean...
In fact, thanks for not throwing me under the bus. No, I think it's a great idea. It's actually going to substantially cut down on the amount of setup time for the concerts.
So there won't be any fence around it?
Yeah, correct. I think it'll be a much more aesthetically appealing for the participants when they're, the attendees at the park. So I just think all around it's a win-win.
Okay.
And I have no problem with
Yeah,
that, so,
I got no issues.
so you just need a motion to council?
We do a motion to positively recommend to the council.
Okay, I'll make that motion to recommend to council regarding temporary activation of the door and authorizing Treasure Island non-ticketed use agreement for concert on the 24th and August 5th, June 24th and August 5th.
And I will second that.
Okay. Mr. Emmer?
Yes?
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Perfect. Thank you. There's a lot of people out there. Is there anything else that we, Mayor, that we need to be brought up right now? Anything else from Park Board?
I do have one thing I want to at least inform the board of. So I was approached by the family of Bob and Mitzi Rodiger. Christy Rodiger had reached out. And the family, in their passing, the family wants to donate a park bench, one of the really nice Pilot Rock benches like we have currently at Treasure Island, I think Duke Park and some other areas. And it's a substantial kind of investment from the family. And they would have requested the Mayor's Park, which would be the very first bench that we place at the Mayor's Park. The family is good friends of Ruth Jenkins. Obviously, we've got the Jenkins statue, Pete Jenkins statue already there. They've asked that we place that next to or beside the statue. So it's kind of just an unusual spot, but I think a really cool project. So I just wanted to inform the board more than anything. I don't think we need to take any action on it unless, you know, there's an objection to that going there. But I think it'll be just a nice addition to the Mayor's Park. Ties in nicely with the statue and the fountain that's already there and so forth. It's going to have the concrete base, the concrete pad underneath, just like the other benches, and I think it'd be a nice addition to the Mayor's Park.
Yeah, no, very appreciative of that, that donation, and, yeah, as long as they work with you on placement and that kind of stuff, I have no issues with it, and then we make sure that we send some type of thank you letter, or
Sure.
that goes out afterwards, too.
Yeah, thank you.
No? Good. Anything else? I'll take a motion, I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
No,
And
second
adjourn?
that.
Second. All right.
Meeting adjourned?